There are two Donald Trumps, and neither one is pretty.
I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not.
On one side, you have a mentally diseased, practicing sociopath whose cognitive state looks like what you might find underneath a rock. Dirty, confused life forms scattering randomly with no direction.
Like to punch him in the face.
And now,
You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
he's threatening the life of Liz Cheney.
These dangerous and reckless comments from Donald Trump last night.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
Liz Cheney this morning saying this, quote, in response, "This is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death." These are comments like that, the repeated talk of the enemy within, from within, that have marked Trump's entire presidency of late, candidacy of late. An NPR analysis found that Donald Trump has made more than 100 threats since 2022 to go after his perceived enemies. It's also the focus of a New York Times opinion piece by prominent conservative legal scholar, retired federal appeals court judge Michael Luttig. He says this in the opinion piece: "There could be no higher duty of American citizens than to decisively repudiate a man who betrayed the nation when he was previously entrusted with the highest office in the land and now threatens the persecution of American citizens who have crossed him. In the almost 250 years since the founding of the nation, no president before Donald Trump has ever so betrayed America." Judge Michael Luttig joins us now. Judge, thank you so much for being here. What Donald Trump said about
Thank you for having
Liz...
me on this morning, Kate.
Thank you, Judge. What Donald Trump said about Liz Cheney last night, his allies in the past have explained it away and likely will explain it away as he doesn't really mean what he's saying. What do you see as the danger when you hear him talk about his enemies like this?
Kate, those despicable words spoken by the Republican nominee for the presidency, who Americans will either elect or reject as the next president of the United States of America in just 5 days, were reprehensible. They were unprecedented. I cannot tell you how many emails and texts I received this morning that just said, "Oh my God." And the only reply to those messages I could think of, Kate, was, "Yes, oh my God." Every citizen of the country, especially Republicans, has an obligation to themselves and to America to watch the video from last night, as I did before coming on this morning, and ponder those un-American words by Donald Trump before they cast their votes on Tuesday. The nation is now on notice, if it was not already. If Americans returned Donald Trump to the White House after those comments about our fellow American Liz Cheney, statements that Donald Trump would make about any one of his countless other enemies from within, those who voted for him will get what they deserve. Apropos of his reprehensible words last night, of course, 3 nights ago, Vice President Harris spoke the most powerful words that anyone running against Donald Trump could ever speak. She said, "I will give those who disagree with me a seat at the table." Those, Kate, are the words of a president of the United States. Those are the words that Americans, especially Republicans and independents, need to hear and desperately want to hear from their next president.
You said in your opinion piece, Judge, that this is not a difficult decision for voters. Why is it then such a close race, do you think?
It's beyond my comprehension at this point, Kate. I will say this. Long before last night's insidious comments, just talking about people, Kate, not politics, it has been beyond my comprehension how or why any woman in America would vote for Donald Trump, for all of the sordid reasons we all know all too well. By nominating Donald Trump as their standard bearer, I think the Republican Party has created the perfect storm for the election of the first woman president in America. And I fully expect that the women in America will elect Kamala Harris, that first woman president, this coming Tuesday. And Kate, if we ever needed a woman president, it is now.
Of course, it's always disturbing to hear his slurring, barely articulate, disjointed attempts to make a point. But here's where Trump becomes a real menace. His rank and file, mostly t-shirt-clad men with barely a high school diploma in sight, vent their anger with the backing of this cock-waffled orangutan and wait for him to direct them to their next target.
Stand back and stand by.
You know what? I'm hearing the Pence. I hearing the Pence just caved.
No.
Is that true?
I didn't.
I'm hearing reports that Pence caved.
No
I'm
way.
telling you, if Pence caved, we're gonna drag through the street.
January 6th proved that Trump's words aren't merely suggestions. Like last year when he threatened the life of General Milley.
Milley, of course, was first appointed by then President Trump, who has since soured on him. And over the weekend, Trump effectively said that Milley should be executed for treason. I'm not making that up. That's not an exaggeration. That's what he suggested.
Or the latest, when a group of MAGA had a chained figure of Harris behind a vehicle in a parade. The scene was reminiscent of the '98 murder of James Byrd Jr., who was dragged to death behind a pickup truck in Texas and who became the impetus behind state and federal hate crime laws.
In this video sent to Channel 11 by a viewer, you could see the float that appeared during the Mount Pleasant Halloween parade. You could see people dressed up as Secret Service surrounding a golf cart-style vehicle. Riding in the cart is a person wearing a mask of former President Donald Trump. On the top of the vehicle is a fake sniper.
The worst part of it was the fact that there was either a rope or a chain that was attached to the back of the vehicle, and there was a woman who was to resemble Kamala Harris in handcuffs and chained to the back of that vehicle as though they were dragging her.
This is what Trump does. He makes threats that his Waffle House militia carry out. So when Trump does something like this, publicly exposes his dark cognitive ramblings, it's then up to the little incels at Fox News to jump to his defense. Remember, these are the same humps that had to change their pants when Biden called that racist comic and his followers garbage.
So he was just talking about how she is a war hawk and would she have the same point of view if she was actually at war? And he says this, she's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her. Let's see how she feels about it when the guns are trained on her. They're all on her face. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops into the mouths of the enemies. She's always wanted to go to war with people. I don't blame Dick Cheney for sticking with his daughter, but I was a little surprised that he didn't come with me. She's a bad person. So to me, I get totally the context of that. Tucker had an event. He joined Tucker's event. Tucker's doing live shows all across the country. And he was asked about one of his chief critics who's campaigning against him. So people are portraying it as if he's saying, Dick, she should be in front of a firing squad. Assassinated. Or she should be shot or assassinated. Obviously, you understand Trump. You understand the context.
This is pathetic. From the pictures of Cheney to berating her as a chicken hawk. Couple points here. Republicans are against women in combat. But secondly, that has nothing to do with what Trump said. And finally, did you notice that they didn't play the clip?
Okay, let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
Trump's comments about arresting political opponents, or as in this case, killing one of them, is a threat to our republic. But Trump's comments are like his mob talk.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know.
He didn't tell these people to go out and shoot Hillary, but he did say the Second Amendment people might know what to do with her, except for Fox and MAGA. The world knows where this is heading. And when Trump loses, we'll see if that dark harbor is host to even more violent rhetoric aimed at Trump's critics.
You know, when the guns are trained on her face.
But on the positive side, Trump has gone after the most powerful force in American politics in the last century, women. And boy, are they pissed.
Get away from her, you bitch!
I told you.
Damn right. It's not fair.
I'm ready, let's go.
Suck my fat one.
This is not a normal election.
Who's with me? Yes! Tick-tock, mother... They're eating the dogs.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Frack,
Frack.
Trust me.
Shut the fuck up, Dan.
Who's with me?
Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock!
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.